with technology is that everything is always supposed to work, and then when you actually go for it, there's always something new happening, and which is why I think we are all passionate about mechanical watchmaking, aren't we?
Well, I guess it's a great parallel with watching with the mechanical watches, with the high-end mechanical
Exactly.
watches.
Exactly. So let me reintroduce you. Obviously, although again, it's funny because we are guests now on your channel, but at the limited edition, we are very passionate about independent watchmaking. We think we live in the best time ever for independent watchmaking in general. There has been a flourishing of incredible new ideas and new watch brands, new watchmakers, and really the field of independent watchmaking has been developing very, very fast. And after our first e-meetings with some of the most successful independent brands, we have had the pleasure of hosting Max Busser, Edouard Mélin, but also Gregory Doud, Mark Schwartz. We intended to take on board and to have a chat with one of the funkiest brands out there. One of those brands that is really managing to link a certain way of reinterpreting high-end watchmaking with a little bit of a touch of the tradition of watchmaking in general, which is why we've been fortunate enough to have on our collectors platform, the limited edition Manufacture Royale, and David Gouten today in person to have a chat with us. So things are okay, David, on your side?
Now it seems to be working fine. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. You very busy these days? Busy days for Manufacture Royale?
Well, busy traveling. We are launching also our latest piece, the Alien Spirit. I just came back from Asia, a tour in Asia, meeting collectors in different ways, because that's probably a topic we'll talk about later. But I think the traditional shows and exhibition are not really relevant anymore. So we have to find new ways of communicating and getting in touch with our clients or potential clients. And and in a few days, I'll be flying to Mexico for the CIAR. So this is one of the one show that's still alive, where you can meet nice end consumers and be able to exchange a lot about what we are doing.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely. Manufacture Royale is one of the brands that is really capitalizing and really trying to focus on the direct contact with watch lovers and the collectors, and which is why I think David is. We found a great justification to our collaboration, because with the limited edition, what we try is to really to bring the message directly to the collectors, the users, and the lovers of the beautiful industry and art that we are involved with. As you know, David, in our chats, we try to give a different. We try to propose a different approach. We try to avoid a little bit, the standard and classic questions, and we try to dig a little bit into the personality of the person that is in front of us, to understand the brand also through the eyes and the voice of, in this case, the owner of the brand. So I will start really very strongly with something that is very close to our heart. For David Gouten, what is value in independent watchmaking? And I say this because a lot of conversations with collectors that are switching from the famous established brands onto the independent brands rotate very often on value. So if I get value, investing on a Patek Philippe, on a Rolex, and so on and so forth, how do I get value in independent watchmaking? Where is the value for David Gouten?
It's a very interesting question, because this is a topic I had with some of the collectors during one dinner in Bangkok. They were wearing a minute repeater from Patek or from the Marquillier, and they were talking about value. I'm sorry, but for me, the value is inside yourself. The message from the founder, from Voltaire, was there to think for yourself. And I think there is the same. The value comes for yourself. A nice watch, and we do rare and true bespoke watches, but a nice watch will lose its value, same as a car will once you start the engine. Out of the dealer, it loses value. A watch is the same. The value is in the eyes of the beholder. You buy such an object, you have it crafted for yourself. So the value is within you. When I create a product, when I work with designers, I give it value. So the value is not on the metal, is not on the complication, is not on the brand positioning. Is the value that the client will give to the object. And I think this is the most important thing that that people tend to forget. It's your object. It's your object. We're always talking about collectors, but it's not about collecting. It's about keeping the items you love beside you.
Absolutely. And the actual meaning of independence as well, because independent watchmaking as opposed to mainstream watchmaking.
Well,
In your history,
just a small side, because that's part of my past also. But like 5 or 6 years ago, all the brands went to métier d'art, and I was, it was like 7 or 8 years ago, and I was heading Delano, and we were doing real high fire enamel from the Geneva area, and everybody went there, and everybody was saying we're doing with the best with Anita Porcher. But imagine if Anita Porcher was really hand painting everybody for all the items from Chanel, from Piaget, from I don't know who else. She could not do that alone. So there is the same. True bespoke. Only independents can talk about bespoke. Karivuutilainen, manufacture Royale. We do true bespoke. We have a watchmaker engraving, dismantling the movement, adjusting to the taste of the client, and that's the most also difference. The strongest difference with the other. I don't like the word big, but the groups, the brands, they don't have that flexibility.
Absolutely.
Independent,
Absolutely.
it's about caring about the customers from the beginning, from the roots.
Is it then the reason why Voltaire is by himself, embodying the spirit of independence? Was it one of obviously the key things for you to get involved with the brand?
Us, yes. For Voltaire, I think it was an opportunity. It was a political opportunity. It was a little bit to fight against the Geneva watch industry, because he was kicked out of Geneva, and there was things like that. And he was opportunistic because he had a great network of ambassadors and crown-headed people. But for us, yes, it was the flexibility of being a dedicated team, having a dedicated watchmaker, and trying to find the essence of something amazing with a proper value. And now, yes, it's you're right. It's a nice timing for the independence. It's a lot of stronger struggle, because we don't have the retailers anymore as ambassadors, or at least in most places they're not there anymore. So we have to inform and dedicate our work towards the clients, and that's the true spirit, I think, and that's what's interesting. Because when you have the eye of a client sparkling because he sees your new piece, that's just amazing.
Absolutely. And so you, for those that know Manufacture Royale is one of the independent watch brands that actually invested a lot in in-house manufacturing. Now, in-house manufacturing is a debatable concept these days, because there are some collectors and some brands that put value in in-house manufacturing, and some others that say, on the contrary, no, we put values on the ideas, and then we find the best way to produce and to create objects out of these ideas without having to produce in-house. For you, it was a clear strategic decision. So what is the value of in-house manufacturing these days for Manufacture Royale and for David?
I'm going to correct you. It's not in-house manufacturing. It was in-house development, because apart from very, very few brands, nobody can do in-house manufacturing at 100%. So yes, we had the backup of a partner, so we called it in-house development and in-house manufacturing. But anyway, you had to get your wheels and some other parts outside. So I would like just to correct this word. It's not manufacturing.
Yeah,
It's in-house development, which is more important. And yes, for us, it was strategic because we wanted to have different movement for every pieces that we have created, whether it's the double tourbillon with 2 speeds, whether it was the floating balance wheel, or whether it was the design of our pieces with the androgyne or the ADN with the steampunk look. It had to be striking. And actually, the design was even more stronger. If we could combine design and movement technicity, that was even better.
Perfect. In terms of the freedom of having ideas and putting ideas into place, is this where you would position the real difference between independent watch brands and mainstream watch brands? What is in your mind and in your heart the main difference between an independent watchmaker and mainstream established watch brand?
You've seen my picture on the invitation. It was a bit crazy, so I'm going to answer balls to dare
Balls.
to do something different. Just balls to create and do something crazy without market studies and thinking if it's going to be successful or not. Just daring, doing what you want to create. It's not easy. It's very scary, risky, but that's why we do it.
So do you think mainstream brands are going more and more mainstream because collectors or watch lovers have lost the ability to dare on their side, or is it just because of industrial development needs? Like when you want to scale up an industrial development on a watch brand, like in any other business, one day or another you have to go mainstream, otherwise you won't find the balance.
No, but there is several reasons. The one you mentioned is true. Once you want to go mainstream, it's maybe less risky and there's volume, and then people or clients tend to go for cheaper pieces. Also, don't forget one thing: the mainstream brands, and I've experienced this with Opus. I was part of 12 Opuses out of the 14 when we did it when Max was there, and then after. For another 5 years, I was there. We did more or less, 20 pieces of these. I think Opus 3, for example, was 25 rose gold, 25 platinum.
For the few that wouldn't know, we're talking about Harry Winston, the development.
Yes, yeah. That's a big part of my watch life. I was 10 years.
Of course.
25 of one, 25 of the other, 6 for Opus 6. That was craftsmanship. It was not industrial development. So each watch could work and perfectly work. If you start doing 100, 150, which is very small for the mainstream brands, yet you're going onto an industrial process, and it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same thing. Pieces cannot work the same way. They cannot be adjusted carefully by a watchmaker that will spend hours on it. It's just, this is where. This means that, yes, we put maybe a bit more passion, a bit more, I'm not going to say money in the development, but more time in our creation to make them work perfectly, because they are work of arts. They are not mainstream. I mean, at Manufacture Royale, we do 100 or 120 pieces per year. This is small, very exclusive. But I think amongst the clients, there is not a clear understanding of what a single watchmaker can do, how many pieces he can do per year. And it's not about economies of scale, it's not about mass production. It's more about dedication and fine-tuning. And this is not what you will find in mainstream brands. The movements are industrially produced, and it's not the same thing, even though they can perfectly be adjusted. I mean, one of the most reliable brands in the world is Rolex, and they produce 1 million watches per year. So it's different. Absolutely.
Yeah, which I think it takes us to the next point. On the whatever you do, wherever you position yourself, the way you pass your message across is the key. Because we still luckily live in an industry where we are selling dreams related to the way we do things, like you've just very well explained now. So in order to enhance those dreams and to enhance the value behind how you do things, there is a keyword, which is marketing, that is become like a swear word for some of us that are really passionate about micro watchmaking, and that is obviously widely used by mainstream brands to promote their products, but it's also key for the independent watchmakers, the independent brand. So what is marketing for you? What is the value of marketing these days, and how marketing actually is useful even for a brand like Manufacture Royale?
Well, marketing for us is a way of surprising people. So now you have to be very careful when you launch with what message. Of course, we cannot talk about share of voice or anything like that, but the social networks, like what we are doing today, are helping us a lot. And key marketing keywords. Again, I'm going to use the word daring. If you manage to dare and surprise the clients, then you have a chance to meet a target audience. So marketing goes also with the design of your product, alongside with the design of the product, but it goes also with the message you feed across, and that's where we like to be a bit more daring, shocking sometimes, but that's how we can have the brand a little bit more recognized, I believe.
Yeah, and looking for the direct contact in the end to be able to relay the story with your own voice rather than with intermediate voices.
Don't forget one thing, and true luxury today, and this is why I believe independent brands is a good platform for that. True luxury is for clients to get to know the creator, the owner, the watchmaker, the designer, because thanks to you, thanks to social networks, the clients have more and more information today. And if they are really genuine about the information, they want more. And the more is coming from the marketing, is coming from these direct contacts they can get. And that's fantastic. Because for us also, it's a great source of information, of exchange, and of creation in the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. We were, as you said, I mean, I mentioned and you pointed out as well, it's been amazing. I mean, you revamped the name Manufacture Royale in 2010, and I would say between 2005, 6, and these days, a vast number of independent brands, independent watchmakers have come, to either rebirth or a birth altogether. For brands like Renaissance or MBNF or Uhrwerk Genève that were not there before at any point in history. So some of them have really made it, some others are finding their way around, and some of them have disappeared straight away or are really, trying to hold the grip. Is there, now I'm talking more David rather than Manufacture Royale, is there a brand in your heart that you see out there, they're really doing an amazing job, you really love the way they come across and the product they propose, but they have been really struggling or not getting the recognition they deserve? And would you want to mention a single brand?
Not easy. That's not an easy question.
It could also be a brand actually, that is not struggling, but you really love, within the independent watchmakers that you want to mention.
No, not struggling and that I love is, it's your work. Your work is doing for me a great job, and a great job, because Felix is a watchmaker, and he's got his road and he's following it, and he's been there for 20 years, and it's just a fantastic adventure. And I remember also because it started a little bit with Harry Winston. So the Opus 5 also was something I think very important for him. So it's this is why there is an emotional link with this.
I have to say, it's one of the brands that when they came out the first time was a real revolution in so many ways. I believe. No, I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, true.
So now on to another very interesting topic. You were mentioning on the fact that the old model of developing and proposing watchmaking has changed incredibly. The old model of distributors sells to retailers and then on to the final clients is kind of struggling unless you talk about those brands that are so big that they have processes in place and then they capitalize on those. So one of the things that is really changing, or at least the perception is changing, is the value of Swiss made. Of course, a brand like H. Moser have contested big time, the Swiss made over the last few months, putting a big question mark on. Of course, Swiss made is still important. We all know that, but how actually important is it, and how is it still, especially from the collector's point of view, a must?
I don't know how to answer without going political. I think Swiss made has got no value.
No one is watching anyway, so we're okay.
Yeah, no one is watching. But Swiss made, the official Swiss made has got no value. Again, I remember a few years back there was an interview between Mr. Biver and Mr. Belmont. And Mr. Biver said, "You know what? Yes, we are putting ITA movement in our brand. I think it was before his time at Hublot, but he said, but you know what? Most of the clients think it's they don't know it's ITA. They think it's Baume & Mercier. They think it's this. They think it's that brand. Swiss made. I mean, for independence, okay." I think even Edouard would agree from Moser. I mean, he's not fighting for the Swiss made. He's fighting for his Swiss made. Because his factory is doing everything. He's doing his true movement. He's doing his dials. He's got his true pattern. This is what we are trying to do.
We're talking about H. Moser.
H. Moser, yes. If for us, yes, we are forced for custom reason to put Swiss made. But the Swiss made, I mean, most of the collectors we meet, they don't ask us about Swiss made. They know Manufacture Royale will be done there and there. But again, when I was in Bangkok, I had one client who said, well, David, one of the mainstream brands, a big brand, is doing his dials or cases in Thailand. Yet everybody thinks it's a Swiss made. So the value is not there. Some clients know, and the clients that do not know are probably not in the how do you say, the spectrum of independence. But for the independent brands, it doesn't matter. The creativity, the craftsmanship is coming from the talented people here. The Swiss is probably worldwide a synonymous of quality, but the Swiss made for the watch industry, sorry, has lost a little bit of credibility in a way.
The successes of brands like in the independent watchmaking, environment, ecosystem, brands like Sarpaneva, brands like Van der Klauw, brands like the German as well watchmakers, they have shown that in a big way.
Exactly. It's about craftsmanship. It's about quality of. You were talking about value. Your first question, the value that the watchmaker is giving to his item that will create this. Swiss made before, a few decades ago, was synonymous of quality. Now I don't mean that it's bad quality, but I mean come on, if you're talking about a percentage of assembly in Switzerland, then you get a Swiss made. This is not true craftsmanship. Let's talk about really luxury, value, exclusivity. Then that's another stamp.
Yeah,
it's not called Swiss made. It's Swiss premium quality or Swiss premium independent quality, whatever you want to call it. But it's a different.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm pretty
I mean,
blunt usually.
no, no. Our questions are designed to get, straightforward questions, answers, and I'm very happy that you're playing the game, very, very openly and honestly. In the end, it's exactly what we can do, at the limited edition is to try to propose contents that are not the usual standard interview that, people have seen over and over again. I realize how sensitive certain topics are. The Swiss made, we all know, like you mentioned, 60% of the total value, which could be assembling, could be anything that you then evaluate in different ways, has to be a provenance of Switzerland to be able to use a Swiss made. I remember at the time when I was at Girard Perregaux, Gino Macaluso back in the days was crazy about this. He was actively fighting to bring it to 70-80% at least to be able to use that trademark. Do you have a position on that, or are you more free and say, it's clear to the consumer what is what, and we shall just do our best to broadcast our message, to transmit our message.
It's a second point. It's our message. Swiss made is just mandatory for custom purposes in some countries. The rest, sometimes it can even. I think sometimes it damages the dials you're making or the movements you're making. I mean, the engraving on it is really not needed.
Yeah. So now, getting back, forgetting about the politics and getting back to the nice things in life, the creative process. Okay, Manufacture Royale, you said your mission is all about the wow factor. So surprising the customer and creating that adrenaline inside you that then would push you to wanting to know more and eventually invest on one of your pieces. So the new ADN Spirit, is in a phase of launch, but we have known through your androgen collection, the Micro Megas, the Voltage as well, different adaptations of incredible, technically sophisticated movements, where you can clearly tell from the collector's point of view that you've spent time figuring things out, working things out, and finding the technical solutions that could give life to ideas that were very bold, in the beginning. So you have put yourself in that outside of that comfort zone that any creative mind has to try to be in order to surprise all the time. Question is, how do you do that when you have created, the androgen, how do you go the next step and, create Voltage and then ADN Spirit and keep on pushing on that? We have the same question with Max, and it was interesting to hear.
It's not easy. Second, you don't listen to what people tell you, because otherwise they say, "Oh, don't go there," and you try to believe in yourself. But okay, this is all inner bullshit, psychological bullshit. But you try to follow your idea and confront it, check if it has not been done yet. And on our side, maybe I'm not going to say easier than with Max. We're trying to. I was discussing with a supplier last week, and he said, "You all want the ship with 5 legs, Of course, we're all trying to find the next complication that would be wow, the wow effect, complication of design. It's not only this, because I think with the opera, we had a classic minute repeater, but with the echo chamber we created, it was a wow effect, because people were not expecting the case to deploy like this.
I confirm that. I have had the pleasure of having in my hands the opera, and it was an incredible experience.
So it's just trying to find the little twist. Sometimes it's not big, but the little twist that will make this item very emotional. I mean, again, you were mentioning some pieces of our collection, the double tourbillon, the Voltige. There we tried to do creations that were not done before, and emotional, because they are all moving, all rotating in a way. So the watch is alive. The next one, we'll try to do the same. It's always with us. It's always a mix of classical and getting out of the comfort zone with the design of the movement or design of the case. So we're trying to do this always with. I know it's very commercial to say that, but with a reasonable price point. this is what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's a different positioning, but the creativity comes from everything, from your passions, from your whatever, your car, your whatever. Well, my passion is paddle. I cannot create a watch out of paddle, but yet
That must be a new passion then. This paddle is fairly new, no?
Why in Switzerland it's maybe 7 years, something like that. Yeah. But no, it's just not listening to the classical people. You know, the best thing is to listen to yourself and to listen to some clients, because the best inspiration can come from them too. Some people have crazy ideas, and from crazy ideas, you can either go higher or make something reasonable out of it.
I'm quite pleased, David, that you haven't used yet the word different, because it's one of the words I struggle with when we have this kind of conversations, because I used to be a brand man myself, and the temptation of saying our brand is different is always there, and everyone uses that, and in the end it's lost its meaning a bit. So that's my little thing, but is there something that you really don't like, in the communication of from brands, an expression that you think is overused, abused, and shouldn't be used anymore, and it would do actually a favor to the watch industry?
For me, it's not the word, it's the way it's done. As I mentioned before, when some brands are talking about exclusive bespoke concept, and I mean the mainstream, and the bespoke concept for them is just switching from a metal bracelet to a strap. For me, they have the power of marketing, but their misuse of keywords are truly misleading for much larger spectrum. And okay, we have to fight. We have to fight for our positioning. We have to fight for what we do. We have to fight for our creativity. But sorry, I'm going to use your word. The difference is in the true conception of the product. And this is what I don't like. This is what I don't like. We are behind. We have a small share of voice. We have to create a wow effect, and we put all our efforts. And mainstream are using key elements of marketing that are not proper, and this is what I don't like.
Borrowed from the independent makers.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I suppose, and I imagine you and Alexis and whoever has been involved in the Manufacture Royale project, taking risk is embedded in the independent watch brands and in the independent watchmakers. So you must have had at least a good 10 years of heavy, solid taking risks. What would you like to say to young entrepreneurs or people that are embarking on projects that are beyond the rational, and they always belong to the sphere of the irrational and the dream in terms of taking risks?
I'm gonna tell him,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Good luck, but maybe don't rush.
Yeah.
And don't change your path, because when you listen too much to the market, look at what the markets are doing now. Some markets have just disappeared. So don't listen to the markets. Listen to yourself, listen to your heart and your direction. If you listen to the markets, you're dead.
That's really, really interesting. You're saying that, because of course, when you take risk, and in our small little dimension with the limited edition, it was it's the same. We are an independent business, and when it was time to start, still the internet was like a bad word, in the lexical dictionary of watchmaking. And of course, look how things are changing. But everybody was saying, not at all. I don't think that's the right way. And So I do agree. Think with your own head and listening to the market to do things in a sensible way, but not basing everything on the market.
Exactly.
Completely.
Exactly.
Completely.
Because the markets. I mean, if you listen to your followers, your watch lovers, enthusiast people, yes. But if you follow to the mainstream business retailers and other structure of the business, that's the word. It's linked to business. It's not linked to passion. So some people might tell you, do it bigger, do it smaller, do it like this, do it green, red. You're going to lose your brand DNA. You're going to lose your passion. And most of the time, it doesn't work. So maybe your idea will take more time, but if it's a good one, it will be successful. So how do you judge a good and a bad one? Okay, that's not me. It's not for me to answer. But I think that's where it lies. Take your time to do things correctly, and it should work because you're creating the demand. You're not gonna. If you're an independent watchmaker, you're not answering a demand. You're creating it. People expect to see something amazing, colorful, or striking in the complication, and that's the key point for me.
And so, just a little briefly, because it's amazing how quickly we've gone through nearly all the questions. We are live with David Gouten from Manufacture Royale, co-founder of Manufacture Royale, and we'll be going through an amazingly interesting chat about independent watchmaking. This interview will be live on the limited edition watches Facebook page for the next forever, I guess. It will be in our archive. And of course, because we are broadcasting from Manufacture Royale channel on Instagram, it will be hopefully published by Manufacture Royale as we finish this interview. We still have a couple of questions for David. The first one, you have described amazingly the path the adventure you've been going through in the last 10 years with Manufacture Royale. Any regrets at all so far?
The only regret is maybe we should have done it sooner, when times were better. But we should have done it sooner. And as I said just before, maybe listen a bit less to some of the key actors of the business. Just an example, business-wise, when we started it, a lot of key actors told us, don't do it. Look at the androgyne. You know what? Number one seller today is the androgyne. Because it's recognizable, because it's a striking item, because it's the one people want to wear, because they have everything else in their collection. So make a statement, make a difference. So that's what I could regret. And also, even though I have some experience with the supplier side, I wish I had known better because the struggle for an independent brand is to have the best partners, not too big, not too small, and that are ready to take risk with you.
Yeah.
Because that's the key. When you have the right support, you can go through bad times and good times together. Because we are doing an amazing job, all of us watchmakers, but we are never on time. That's the problem. When we deliver a watch, it's never right on time.
Why would you be?
And that's why it's amazing, but we're never on time. You can do retro planning, production. You can take 2 years to make your watch. It'll still not be on time.
Yeah. In that respect, I really like the idea of HYT to showing the the passing of the day rather than the actual time. When you can see more or less how much of your day is gone and how much you still have. I think that's a good twist, to get a different take. David, thank you very much. I have one last question for you. if you could spend 3 hours with somebody important, known or not known, from the past, and is not available, unfortunately, to meet today, would there be somebody that you would really like to invest 3 hours with, to help your inspiration or to support you as you go along in your adventure, or whatever reason you have in your heart?
Well, it would be maybe interesting to have a philosophical exchange with Voltaire. And I'm not saying this just because he created Manufacture Royale, but just no. I don't think he did everything perfectly, but it would be interesting to know where the roots are coming from. So yes.
And he may give you a couple of ideas as well, I think.
Maybe or maybe not, but the spiritual aspect would be interesting, because he was quite creative in his struggle. So why not? Why not go there? It'd be interesting. And yeah, he had a nice castle in Ferney, so let's check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, David, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time. Thanks for bearing with a few technological issues that will always be there, but I think it's a great time to exploit these amazing opportunities we have. We've been live on Facebook, we've been live on Instagram, and this interview will be there for all the passionate of independent watchmaking, the passionate of Manufacture Royale, to watch. If you have any questions for David that for time reasons we couldn't put across, just feel free to get in touch. We are the limited edition. We are the platform in love and passionate about independent watchmakers, and we'll spend more and more time supporting and promoting people like David that are really changing, the history books of watchmaking altogether, and making watchmaking interesting again, in so many ways. Thank you, David. I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, it was a real pleasure too. Thank you very much. I like this offbeat chat, because that's the best. That's where it's interesting, and that's where you give the most emotions and a different perspective of what we are trying to achieve. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone.
Means a lot. And see you in the flesh very soon. Are you coming to Salon QP to London?
Still have to confirm.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Let us know. We should be there as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. All the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. So we are still live on Facebook, and it's now going to